News story for you this hour here on RT International. A 17-year-old who went on an axe and knife rampage on a train in central Germany is an Afghan asylum seeker, according to the Interior Minister. 3 people were rushed to hospital with serious injuries, and many other passengers suffered a psychological shock as well. Let's discuss the refugee problem now. Across live to Sreeram Chaulia, Professor of the Jindal School of International Affairs. Good to see you this morning. Thanks for coming on. This kind of attack, this kind of issue, it's only going to worsen anti-migrant sentiment in the country. Do you think there's anything that officials can do to counter what is a rising resentment to migrants?
Yes, indeed. I mean, this is very unfortunate, and it is going to worsen the stereotypes about refugees as rapists or as criminals or as terrorists. So I think it's very important for the German authorities. Last year, Chancellor Merkel had this open door policy. They admitted more than 1 million of them. It's important for them to show statistically that these kind of miscreants or those who have gone off kilter are actually a very small minority among the ones who were admitted. There has been one unfortunate attack in Munich railway station before, and now there is this one. But these are few and far between. So it's important to show the statistical rarity of this. Secondly, it's important to also look at the security angle. I mean, you cannot simply adopt a purely humanitarian approach. So it's important for the authorities to also make sure that some of these youngsters, especially this attacker apparently was an unaccompanied minor who was admitted and given refugee status. So he's been given some foster parenting, he's been integrated into a German family. So it's important that they monitor some of these young people who may be showing signs of trauma. Remember, they came from Afghanistan where, warfare and violence is so endemic. So he must be a traumatized kid who's just 17 years old. So I think it's important. It's lucky that they don't have lax weapons laws like in the US, where this guy could have caused much more damage. He was just wielding some small machetes and axes. So luckily there hasn't been...
Professor Chaulia, I mean, it's tough to jump on this because obviously in this day when just about all of us bound and tied by political correctness, there might be some in Germany who are going to be resentful of as you say, an unaccompanied minor, an asylum, a refugee from Afghanistan who's given foster parents or given a home, given a potential job, and then he goes to a train station with a knife and an axe and starts chopping people to bits. And now we hear that the head of Germany's Office for Migration and Refugees is saying Germany might actually need more refugees. He says so to help with the labour workforce. How do you think the people might react to that call?
Well, it is bound to, the Cologne attacks around New Year time were attributed to migrants, and that too created a backlash. It's also important to remember that there have been many hate crimes against refugees and migrants who've been admitted. So if you actually put the violence committed by neo-Nazi and extreme right-wing groups against migrants vis-a-vis the violence that's unfortunately come out of some of them, some of the migrants, it's a no-brainer. So we need to put all this in perspective. But yes, people are bound to react. They're already, remember the Paris attacks in France last year involved a number of people who came in and sneaked in as migrants. So I think this is going to create a fear psychosis. It's so important that Chancellor Merkel takes the leadership, and all the regional governments in Bavaria, for example, where this has happened in the south. It's so important that these provincial leaders and all of them come out openly saying, avoid hate crimes. But at the same time, they must thoroughly review the security procedures and the way the monitoring and the evaluation of the admitted migrants happens, their integration process into the German society. The Germany is relatively better than France in its ability to absorb and integrate migrants. So I think they have some positives. They need to harp on the positives and try and stem this negative scapegoating and stereotyping that's likely to happen, and the reverse kind of revenge attacks that may be wreaked on unfortunate migrants.
All right, Sreeram Chaulia, Professor of the Jindal School of International Affairs. Many thanks for your time and insight today. Thank you.